Music is often reduced to a linear focus on technique, precision, and performance. Yet those elements alone cannot explain why certain moments of sound feel alive. This episode explores what turns notes into meaning, how lived experience, for better or worse, shapes musical truth, and why real music is ultimately an act of alignment with the cosmos. I'm James Newcomb, and that's what I meant to say. There are moments when listening to a virtuoso musician play their instrument reminds you why you ever picked up your instrument in the first place, or perhaps why you continue to pick it up so many years later. It's not because of their flawless technique, their dazzling speed, or their lyricism that moves you to tears. It's because something alive is happening, something human, something that cannot be reduced to notes on a page. Those moments prompt the age-old question: what transforms sound into music? As musicians, especially in classical and symphonic traditions, we're trained to equate excellence with precision, accuracy, control. And these things matter. They are essential building blocks to our true objective, but they are not the whole story. Anyone who has sat through a technically perfect performance that left them emotionally untouched understands this distinction intuitively. Music is not the notes. The notes are the mere words which make up the language. And what is that language? The answer does not lie in more technical practice, more enlightened phrasing, or deeper analysis. Those are refinements, but they are not the foundation. Beneath all of those is something which is harder to name and impossible to fake. True musicality requires that the musician has lived enough to have something to say. Life itself becomes part of the process of creating real music. Hardship, failure, disappointment, uncertainty, loss. These experiences do not appear in method books, yet they shape expression more than any etude book ever could. A musician who has endured loss, suffered humiliation, been the butt of the jokes among all of the so-called cool kids, carries a different weight in their sound. Not because suffering makes one superior, but because it enlarges the capacity for meaning. When life is predictable and comfortable, music is mere window dressing. But when life has demanded resilience or courage, something deeper becomes available. The listener senses it immediately, even if they cannot explain why. Another trap musicians fall into is over-intellectualization. We analyze and overanalyze harmony, form, style, and historical context. And of course, all of this is important. But when music is treated purely as a mental exercise, it becomes rigid, a hollow shadow of what it's meant to be. Music does not live within the intellect. It resides within the soul. It is there, even if we don't play our instrument or physically sing a single lyric. When it is embodied, felt physically, rhythmically, emotionally, it comes alive. Rhythm is no longer counted, it is inhabited. Phrasing is no longer planned, it is breathed. This is why movement, gesture, and even silence matter. The body carries a kind of intelligence the mind alone cannot access. When musicians reconnect with this embodied awareness, performances change, not because they are louder or more dramatic, but because they're more honest. There is also a subtle but critical distinction between projecting outward and drawing inward. Many performers try, often unconsciously, to push expression toward the audience. The result often feels forced, performative. The alternative may feel counterintuitive, but it is the way toward truth. Focus inward. When a musician becomes fully present with their own experience of the music, the listener is drawn into that space. There is no need to show off, no need to convince. Authenticity does the work. One approach says, "Hey, look at me." The other says, "Hey, why don't you join me?" To be clear, this depth of expression depends on mastery of the fundamentals. Freedom in music does not come from avoiding discipline. Quite the opposite. The exercises we resist early on, long tones, articulation studies, scale patterns, often become the most meaningful experiences later in life. They create physical reliability, allowing the mind to quiet and the music to emerge. Over time, priorities shift. Flash gives way to simplicity. Display gives way to depth. What once felt boring becomes grounding. This is not regression. This is maturation. Much anxiety in music education today revolves around employability, entrepreneurship, career pathways. These conversations are necessary, but they often miss a deeper truth. People do not choose music because it is practical. They choose it because something inside them insists on doing it. Those who thrive are rarely chasing outcomes. They are responding to a calling, however imperfectly understood. Careers evolve, interests change, skills transfer. A musician who remains open rather than fixated often discovers paths that were never planned. Music teaches discipline, adaptability, emotional intelligence, and meaning-making. Those capacities do not disappear if one path closes. They reconfigure. Taken seriously, all of this leads to a definition of music that is far more demanding than technical excellence or emotional expression. At its highest level, music is an act of alignment. There are rare moments when music feels less like something we produce and far more like something we participate in. The sound does not merely fill the room. It seems to place both the performer and the listener inside a larger order. Time feels altered. This is not metaphor. It is experience. In those moments, music ceases to be entertainment or even communication. It becomes communion, not only between performer and audience, but between the human being and something larger than the human. Some people call this the cosmos, others the heavens, some the underlying order of reality, or simply truth. The name doesn't matter as much as the encounter itself. This is why music cannot be reduced to technique, analysis, utility. Those are preparatory disciplines. They clear the path, but they are not the destination. The destination is resonance. When mind, body, and inner life are aligned, when technique no longer obstructs intention, music becomes a point of contact between inner and outer order. Meaning is no longer imposed. It is allowed to emerge. This is why hardship, patience, and humility matter so deeply. They strip away illusion and clear the way for alignment. A life that has never been tested has little capacity to resonate with anything beyond itself. In this sense, music is not self-expression in the modern therapeutic sense. It is self-transcendence. The best performances are not about personality or individuality, even when those qualities are unmistakable. They are about disappearance, about getting out of the way so something truer can speak. That, ultimately, is the definition of music. It's not notes, it's not technique, and it's not even emotion by itself. Music is what happens when a human being becomes sufficiently aligned with their instrument, their body, their experience, and the deeper order of reality, that sound becomes a bridge between the visible and the invisible. Now, back to the practice room you go. If you enjoy these conversations, you'll find even deeper insights, writings, and resources on my website, jamesdnewcomb.com. Subscribe to my daily newsletter, explore my musical projects, and connect with the work behind the podcast. Visit jamesdnewcomb.com and become part of this important work, broadcasting conscientiously from the outskirts of relevance.